Welcome back to Girl, What Did I Just Read? The podcast where we read books by women and queer authors, spiral about fictional men, and sometimes realize we've trauma bonded with a plot twist.
After the messy teen drama of Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, we now escape to a fantastical, whimsical world full of fairies, an entire world which is divided into fairies who have eternal life and mortals, humans, who are stuck in the mortal realm. Now we'll come to the entire complex world building later on. However, what you need to stay tuned for in this episode is crazy level of magical fairy powers, a lot of red flags from actually red flags across gender, which I really appreciate about this book.
Equal opportunity. That's right. We read A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, a book that said, what if we took Beauty and the Beast and Twilight, dipped them in a little spice, and gave everyone daddy and or anger issues?
Okay, so A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, we'll call her SJM throughout in this episode. So this book, also famously known as the ACOTAR series, has divided and united fans in equal measure. This particular book series, it is so revolutionary that it has made readers out of non-readers, and it has made readers question, what the hell was I even reading? Which is literally the name of our podcast.
Today, we are unpacking the story, the tropes, the consent issues, the mess, and the fact that, spoilers, Feyre basically defeated evil with nothing but spite, some arrows, and an empty stomach.
I mean, she's the chosen one. The chosen ones don't need food in their stomach. They don't need any skills. They'll just stumble across and, defeat evil and ensure that goodness is restored across the world. But coming to the concept of tropes, now this book across the internet, it has come in under heat for being probably the smuttiest book one could find. I mean, essentially, this book created the genre of romantasy. But I think this couldn't be further from the truth. I think this is fantasy fiction, adult fantasy fiction. This is not YA fantasy fiction. And it just so happens to have a romantic arc. And of course, there are wild, nefarious activities that the superior beings, fairies, can do to make human life worse. But this book has like the right touch of magic and romance and a discourse about power, ethics, curses, trauma. And also, we will go on to discuss why fairies are so disappointingly similar to humans. I don't get this. A superior being needs to be better.
I agree. So grab a drink and your emotional support arrows made from ash wood, and let's get into it. All right. Well, welcome back. This month is Shaggy's pick. Sorry. I'm Katie. This is Shaggy. I keep forgetting because, y'all should know us by now. But anyway, that's us. It's Shaggy's birthday month. It's December. So when we're recording this, we're a few days away from it, but all month is her birthday month. So she got to pick the book. And, I'm very glad. I've been digging my heels in about romantasy. It's not my thing, but that's okay. That's why we have this podcast. That's why we read the different things we read, these different genres. During my birth month, exactly. October, you read, spooky Japanese horror book. But yeah, I'm really glad that I was forced to read this because I have another friend who's a huge fan of the series and she's been trying to get me to read it. And I'm like, fairy smut.
Someone was going to push you over the edge.
Exactly. It's a trade-off. You started watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, so I'm reading ACOTAR. We traded. But I have to say, I was thoroughly entertained. And we'll give our reviews at the end, but I was thoroughly surprised at how much I ended up enjoying the book. And yes, I'm curious about reading the rest of the series to figure out what happens.
Oh my God, the rest of the series, I can't even explain to you the jump starts and I don't know, the level of, if you notice in this particular book, as much as character development takes place for some characters, it is a plot-driven book. I mean, things after things keep happening to our protagonist, Feyre, who is just about a simple human trying to make her way in the world. Because this is such a plot driven book, we kind of have to go into the summary of the book and just go over the major events. And there are so many major events that happen. I mean, if you want to read about a good evil torture scene, please read this book. If you want to read about like love triangles and all that aching and yearning and things not going right, this is the book. If you want complex world building where there are kingdoms and there are rules as to what kind of beings populate this world and what is the entire dynamic that's going on in this complex world, this is what A Court of Thorns and Roses series gives us. Now, Feyre, picture her. She's a 19-year-old mortal girl whose family is poor, starving, destitute, and freezing in the mortal realm. Now, Feyre is out hunting one day and she finds a lovely deer. And considering that she has to hunt in order to provide for her family, she sees the deer and goes, "Oh boy, yummy, yummy food in my tummy." However, there's also a big wolf there hunting this particular deer. And Feyre looks at the wolf and she is not entirely too sure whether it's a normal wolf because it's too big and it's weird looking and it just doesn't seem like it's off the mortal realm. It almost seems like otherworldly and surreal. Now there is 110% chance that this particular wolf might possibly not be a mortal being. However, Feyre, desperate measures, kills it. And she does not realize that by killing this one strange, otherworldly wolf, she ends up opening a can of geopolitical worms. Now, what I mean by geopolitical worms, background history, humans were slaves to fairies. And fairies think that they are superior beings. And why not? Because they have powerful, massive, magnificent, brilliant fairy magic powers. And once upon a time, 100 years ago, there was a war of freedom and independence. Humans did not want to be slaves, and a peace treaty was agreed upon after the war. And humans were given a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of almost barren, unfertile land. And now we come to the world of the fairies, which is called Prithian. Now, before we go ahead, because I brought about the geopolitical issues in this world, I will have to show you guys a map of this particular fantasy world. Now, in this amazing map, you will see that this is the entirety of Prithian. Please pay
You did a
close
great
attention
job
to this
of this,
ancient.
by the way. This is the
Thank you so
detail.
much. Thank you so much. So, this world of Prithian is divided into different kingdoms. Now, these kingdoms, like, don't ask me why these kingdoms are divided in such a way, but we have 3 solar courts. This is the night court. You see the darkness. This is the day court. And this is the dawn court. Don't ask me why there is no evening court. I have no idea. They are only recognizing these 3 solar events. Now we come to the seasonal courts. This is the court of winter. This is the autumn court. This is the summer court. And this is where most of the action takes place. It is the spring court, a land of flowers and roses and trees and everything magical and beautiful. Now, you see this horrible line in the middle? This is known as the wall. Now, what has this wall is the peace treaty that was entered into after the war between the Prithian fairies and the human world. This is the mortal realm. Like I say, it's poor, it's starving, it's destitute, it's freezing, it has no resources. All the fertile land has been captured by the fairies. And the humans, they are just little muck over here, of no importance, of no power, of no magic. Yep. So now that we have described the different courts, you can see that Katie is representing the night court and I am representing the winter court.
Real quick, I just want to say the map is so good. You did a great job. There is also, because there's a map at the beginning of the book, which is very helpful. And I do appreciate when fantasy writers do this, but let me show you just real quick. There's that, but then there's also the fairy realms and the mortal lands. But if you all notice, the author just copied a map of Western Europe and the UK
Yeah,
and Ireland. So
actually.
basically the night court is all of Scotland. Okay. The day court is very northern England. Then we have like Newcastle over here is the dawn court. We've got the winter court, which would be like, I don't know, Manchester. Down here in the mortal lands, it would be London, and I think Bath would be the spring court, maybe Oxford. I don't know. You geography people can correct me. And then Highburn, is it Highburn? Is that what it says?
Yes, Highburn.
That's Ireland. That's Northern Ireland and regular Ireland. The mortal lands are France. The fairy realms are whatever is up there, Spain. I just like and I'll bring it up later too. She did a great job, but it's like there's a lot that's like, okay, you could have taken a little extra time to like change some things instead of blatantly copying. But anyway, go ahead.
All right. So now that we have described the entire world building and the places that are going to be important for the progression of this story, we will just circle back to the point that Feyre kills this otherworldly wolf. Now, Feyre, being the spunky and desperate protagonist, she kills the wolf to sell its hide in the market, like I said, to support her family. Now, her family used to be particularly affluent, but her dad lost all of their fortune in a very bad deal, which had to do with some trading ships going across the sea to the land of Bharat. And what is Bharat? India. And now I'm wondering, why was he sending trading ships to India? Like, what the hell? Is Vera's father a British
Colonizers.
colonizer? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
What,
She just
what
copied.
the hell? What the hell? I don't get this. He's a damn colonizer. I mean, am I supposed to sympathize with her?
One of the many toxic men in this book. So also her father, because of losing, like making bad deals, losing all their money. Their mom passed away. And, so he puts them into poverty. And the only one doing anything to help the family like make money and eat is the youngest daughter, Feyre. So toxic man number one.
Exactly. So now that the entire family is deeply destitute, Farah has taken it upon herself to build survival skills like hunting. And like all hunters, she thinks that she's the alpha and that she's doing all the work. Now, talk about the evils of patriarchy. The work that Nesta and Elaine do, like the housework, which cannot be evaluated monetarily because you can't go to a market and sell it, or it's not a service which is provided compensation in a transactional way. Lo and behold, in her mind, she is like, she thinks no end of herself. And I get it. These are very trying times for the family. And during trying times, it can be easy to kind of like be in this tension and this dysfunction within the household. And I'm saying this because if you see in patriarchy, if the patriarch falls, everything else crumbles down. And I'm not saying that patriarchy is like, oh, men are better than women are better than men, they are equal. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about patriarchy in the sense that it affects family units. Like if one provider falls down from the function of providing, the entire family unit does not need to crumble. And this is why finances are important. And financially, it is good to ensure that a family unit is able to survive and even thrive and not be in a situation of destitution just because, again, the father, the brother, the husband is not able to earn anything. So, yeah, whatever. But anyway, Farah has two older sisters. The eldest is Nesta, and she is the most traumatized kid because she's the eldest of the family and she has seen all the dysfunction. She has seen the fall from fortune. She has seen the death of her mother. She has, in a way, been able to understand more of the adult things that were going on in this family compared to what Elaine, who is the middle child, and Farah, who's the youngest, were able to see. And also Elaine, the middle child, she's a typical middle child. She's like dissociated half the time. And I think she refuses to have a single thought which would give her a reality check. She's like middle kid just out of the picture, somewhere in the background, like a wallflower. So now the hunt has happened. The wolf's hide has been sold. And lo and behold, a few days after the wolf hunt, a gigantic lion, furry, strange, otherworldly beast busts into the family cottage of Feyre's family. And this beast says, "You killed my wolf friend. And as per the fairy human peace treaty rules, I can either kill all of you for killing my friend, who was a fairy, or the protagonist, Feyre, will have to agree to go with this beast to the world of Prithian, the fairy land, and she will just have to be in his fairy castle and she will never be able to return to her family." And right now, Farah's entire family is literally having a panic attack. They have never seen a fairy before because this war of independence happened 100 years ago. Farah's family did not, they saw the aftermath of what happened, what was the consequences of the war, but they were not actively like alive and present while this war was going on. So there's a lot of superstition, there's a lot of, mythology that has been created about the fairies. So, anyway, Feyre is terrified and she is wondering at this point of time that will I be trapped in servitude and tortured forever in this weird fairy castle that this strange, horrible beast wants to take her to? But the beast is like, nah, just live with me and just be. Highly cryptic and number one red flag. What does that even mean? Just be with me in the castle. That is so strange. But her family and whatever trauma that they are going through, they literally push her out the door and they're like, bye, have fun, Feyre.
Well, can I say also that this is a red flag. This is toxic guy red flag, or we'll call it a pink flag. Pink flag number 1 from toxic man number 2. So it's interesting. She thinks she's going to be a slave, right? Because what the humans know are that, fairies hate the humans. They allowed them to live. They used to be slaves of the fairies back before the war, whatever. And so she hates fairies. I mean, everybody does. Now there's a sect, like some kind of, call them cult, but of these folks that love the fairies and they think they're our saviors and all this. And Farah encounters one of these cult members in the market area and just brushes her off and is like, stop preaching at me about these fairies. They hate us. They eat humans. And there are all these superstitions and things that humans have with the fairies that were stories that were passed down, but no one's really encountered a fairy that we know of, right? That's currently living in this time in the book.
Yeah.
So, there's stories of people that wandered into fairy lands or got taken, but they don't know what ended up happening to them. So it's very mysterious. And they've made up all of these myths about the fairies and what can kill them. And again, they like to eat humans. So these humans just have this innate hatred, but they don't know anything. They really don't know because they haven't had contact in over 100 years with the fairies.
Exactly. And now the fairies have become almost like unknowable godly figures. And unknowable godly figures are kind of the ones that give rise to the formation of cults. That's what I think. So anyway, now that Feyre has been left to her own devices with this weird ass beast who is taking her to the fairyland of Prithian, they're going to cross that border. They're going to cross this border. And we have no idea where he's taking her. So this big lion beast man, furry, weirdo, scary guy, he takes her to Prithian and he takes her to the spring court. Now, this big lion man beast has a big, pretty, magnificent estate. How convenient. I mean, who doesn't love a rich guy? A rich guy who comes randomly and is like, no servitude, no torture, just live and be in my castle. I think that's why this book is compared to Beauty and the Beast. And would you agree that it is like kind of adjacent to the whole Beauty and the Beast vibe.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing I said to you when I was listening to I listened to the audiobook with the full cast because you said if you're Katie, if you're gonna listen to the audiobook, because honestly, that's the most time I have during the day is my commute that ends up being about total an hour and a half, 5 days a week. So I had time to listen to it over a week. And one of the first things I messaged you was, "This book is a Beauty and the Beast ripoff." You know?
Exactly. And also, yeah, we would like completely recommend read the book. The book is amazing. Now the book is amazing, but please, please, please try to get the dramatized audiobook. I mean, when this beast busts open the family cottage door, the sound that you hear, oh my god, I was terrified. I was like, whoa, this is scary AF. What the hell? And the sound effects were like just creating
They
that
do,
right
yeah, they do all the sound
atmosphere of,
effects.
the sound effects are crazy. And sound effects are crazy in all sorts of ways. Let's just say that.
Yes, we'll
We
get
get
into that a
all
little more. Yes,
sorts of sound.
there's a lot, all sorts of sounds.
Okay, so now this big lion man beast who has a big pretty house, he turns into a big pretty man, and his name is Tamlin. Now he is, one of those gorgeous muscular men, probably 6'7", 6'7". I can't believe I put in that reference. But anyway, he is blonde and tall and muscular, and he hates violence, but he's also a product of the war because he was a child when the war was taking place. Now, Tamlin is a jumble of underdeveloped personality traits, according to me. He seems to be caring, but he's also kind of off. It almost seems like he has a heart of stone, but he's also nice in some ways. Like, we'll slowly understand that Tamlin has this big looming thing over his head. And because he has this big looming sort of a burden, I feel we don't really get to understand him in the truest essence of what he could be. But then again, this is my Tamlin bias. So anyway, coming back. So Tamlin is just this guy and a really hot guy and a really hot fairy guy. And he is the lord of the spring court. And he has his bestie and advisor. Should we call him Lucien or Lucian?
I think it's and how they pronounced it in the audiobook was Lucian.
I know, but like, I think because, yeah, by the way, I have like read this book before. This is a reread. But in my head, when I read it for the first time and I didn't listen to the audiobook, I kept saying Lucian in my head. And now I'm not able to like come over, like, I'm not able to overcome calling him Lucian
I think
instead of
either
Lucian.
works. I think Lucien or Lucian. That's how I would pronounce it either way. I think I remember
Yeah.
in the audiobook it was Lucian, but it doesn't matter.
Okay. So Tamlin has his bestie, advisor, emissary, Lucien, who is from the Autumn Court. He is, one of those gorgeous guys who have red flowing locks. He's kind of wolfish, like he kind of like looks cunning and sly, and as if you can catch him, but you can never keep him. And he's so sassy, he is funny, and he's also a little bit of a prick, but I kind of like about that. Also, I feel he's probably the most sane person in the entirety of Prithian. So now that we have been introduced to the main characters, Feyre, her family, Tamlin, Lucien, we will now come to the next big chunk of the book. And this big chunk of the book is so brain numbing. I mean, don't let it dissuade you from reading the book, but like a good middle section of it is mind numbing in the sense that Feyre is living in that beautiful castle. Currently, she's feeling useless because she now doesn't have to provide for a family. So she's going through like that identity crisis. Like, now what is the purpose of my life? Because until now, the purpose of my life was ensuring that my family is alive and safe and fine. But now I don't have to take care of them. So who am I and what am I? And what am I supposed to do now with my life, considering that I will never live a life which would be afforded to a normal human being? So she's completely crashing out. She's like, I have no idea what's happening. And because she's a typical 19-year-old, she is crashing out by constantly getting into trouble, by constantly not listening to simple rules, by constantly defying very basic instructions, because she is a damn mortal. She will literally trip and kill herself. That's how bad the situation is for humans in Prithian. And this chick, she's like, I'm gonna get into trouble because I'm so spunky and I'm so cool. And now, because I'm purposeless, I'm kind of like just gonna be reckless and impulsive. So, yeah, this is my mini rant on Feyre. Like, she grows on me slowly, but she's so annoying. She's
Yeah,
one of those
she's
annoying teenagers.
definitely and it's also Twilight. It's a Twilight ripoff. Sorry, I'm sorry it is. And again, I'm not going to rag on anybody that likes this series. I think it's great. There's a lot of books that I like that most people won't like. So take this with a grain of salt, everything we're talking about and ragging about. It was very enjoyable. However, it's a Twilight ripoff. It's a Beauty and the Beast ripoff. I mean, the fairies have fangs and claws and they can shapeshift now, so that's also like, and there's a wolf. I mean, come on. And it's like they're Jacob and Edward together, uh and the beast. And Feyre is uh very I they're pretty unlikable, I think, because for the most part, now granted, she grows on you, but at the beginning and actually for most of the book, all she does is just go on and on and on about her past and what she's going through now and this and this. If I have to hear about how hungry and poor they were, I get it. We get it. But it's like this is her crutch and she just won't shut up about it. It's like, girl, we get it. You have had a rough upbringing. You have mommy issues. You have daddy issues. You have sister issues. You've taken up the mantle of taking care of your family. That's great. Don't make it your whole personality. Okay. And then Tamlin
Exactly.
is he's our Edward or Mr. Darcy. He's brooding. He keeps to himself kind of. We don't know what's going on with him, but we can tell that there's something going on that, she doesn't know yet. It's why is he being so nice? Why is he saying, okay, you have to be my captive, for this trade-off because you killed my friend, but he's not even making her like clean the floors. I don't know, something. Just
Suffer.
come and live in my
Yeah, he's
yeah,
not.
come and live in my beautiful castle and these gardens and this awesome forest, and you never have to hunt for again, in your entire life, and you'll be fed. And it's like, what's the catch? And
Yeah.
even Feyre, I mean, she was wary, but I just don't think she was wary enough. There was no, what's the catch? Now she did hold him and Lucian at arm's length for a long time because she didn't trust them. That's great. She's on her, she's not letting her guard down too much, but I still think she should have questioned them more. Lucian, I mean, he was a jerk, but at least he was upfront about being a jerk. He wasn't ever trying to sugarcoat anything. I think he was the most honest with her out of anybody in the damn
Yeah.
book, besides the villain we'll get to later too. And
Exactly.
I don't know.
That's why I say that Lucian is the most sensible person in the entirety of Prithian, because he is no bullshit. Like, he is a very no BS stance and he knows where his loyalties are. And yes, he is skeptical about a strange mortal human girl just living with them. It's so weird. Like, it's so strange. And honestly, considering that these fairies are god level creatures, honestly speaking, I think he feels a kind of disdain for Feyre, almost as if someone who doesn't like pets would have a disdain for seeing a pet around them or having to
Mhm.
take care of a pet. I think in that way, Lucian kind of like understands the rules of this world, that it's not a good position to be in, and it's not a good position to be in again because there is something dark that's looming over the heads of practically everyone in the spring court. Because we have to remember that as per this flag, the spring court is the one which is in the closest proximity to the human world. And the entire border rests between spring court and the mortal realm. So if you really think about it, Spring Court is right now possibly a place of a lot of geopolitical tension. And yeah, it's like it's it's a charged environment and it's not a positively charged environment. So I get why Lucian is like, who the hell is this girl? And why is she always getting into trouble? And then we have to like go and save her because she can't like shut her trap and stay in the castle. Because come on, fairy creatures can just kill you randomly and they are not going to have any regard for human life. Like, why would they? I even think that. Why would they have regard for human life? I mean, I think of myself. How much regard do I have for like animal rights? Do I think it's equal to human rights? I don't know. I think uh, exactly. I think this is the differentiating factor, that as much as Feyre is trying to be equal to them in terms of taking side quests and trying to like figure out things, she is not their equal. So she should just follow basic simple instructions. But how will she follow basic normal instructions when she can't even read? She's a damn illiterate. And I feel so bad for her. I feel so bad.
That ticked me off too, that the author made her like this great artist, and that's great, and she practiced not being an artist, and she on the side the little time she had where she wasn't hunting and foraging, the only one in her family bringing them food. But her sisters were educated because they were older when their mom was still alive, but
Yeah.
the mom never thought to, well, the mom died when Feyre was 8, but they never thought to educate her. And it's almost like, well, especially the eldest sister, Nesta, who made fun of her the most and gave her the hardest time. And so it's like, well, you're not going to teach her how to read, but then you're going to make fun of her. And this is yet another thing, though, that Feyre uses as a crutch again and again to use against Tamlin to, I guess, put thoughts in words in his mouth. Oh, he's doing this because I can't read, stupid, illiterate human. She's saying to herself, imagining he's saying this, but he's not at all. He's pretty understanding. And he even tries to help her at some point write a letter back home to her family. So I get it. I mean, if the author wanted to make her illiterate, fine. I just think that they harped on it a little too much. That's all. That's my 2 cents.
Trust me, this illiteracy thing is going to stretch to the second book as well.
No.
It's going
She
to
doesn't
stretch
learn
to
how
the
to
second
read
book.
by then. Oh, shit.
Because this damn girl, she just keeps like going out horse riding and getting into trouble. She doesn't want to sit on a chair and be a student. And I understand being a student is really boring when you have an exciting huntress life. But whatever. So now, over the course of a few months where she is living with Tamlin, getting in trouble, and Lucian like verbally entering into combats with her, over the course of the few months, she falls in love with Tamlin. And I am like, Feyre, girl, Lucian is right there. Why are you into the blonde guy?
Well, because
Why?
Tamlin starts to get sweet on her as well, and it's just to me, it was like, oh, this is too convenient. This is just this. There's something going on here. He's starting to be, sweet to her and help her with like the reading and writing. He wants to. She turns him down, and it's just I was like, well, this is just too perfect. Again, I'm very skeptical, Scorpio, and I just wish she were a little more skeptical. But then again, and I know you kind of briefly brought it up, she's 19, or she was just turning 19 when she got taken away. So this guy Tamlin's like at least a couple hundred years old, and she's 19. So there we have another like Twilight young FMC.
I am doing a reread. So I'm able to and I'm doing a reread after an entire year. Like I started off this series in December of 2024. And of course, this book is like really close to my heart because I was having the biggest book slump of my life. I could just not, for a period of 3 to 4 months in 2020, the latter half of 2024, I just couldn't find a book that I wanted to read. I was like, what do I do? Do I read something popular? I hate them. Do I read something indie? I hate that. I hate the premise. I hate the character. I was just all over the place. But then I was like, what has always like helped me get back into reading. I would say it would be like a juicy series like this because we've always seen certain book series define the culture of a couple of years. Like Twilight defined late 2000s, Hunger Games defined the dystopian era when Maze Runner and Divergent. And now I think this book is defining the culture of what we need right now, which is more fantastical because the reality is jarring and reality is uncertain and it's not all of that fun. I understand why this, yeah, I get it. I was pulled towards this series also because of the cringe factor because I was like, I want to be entertained a little bit. Let me see what is this all about? Because we have seen vampires, we have seen dragons, we have seen werewolves, but we have not seen fairy creatures. And fairy creatures, you can't even define them because the entire genesis of fairies is rooted in so much folklore. So you can imagine a fairy being, the tiny creatures with wings flying around like Tinkerbell. Or you can like expand what fairies could mean, and they could be these powerful, godlike creatures with eternal life that have humanly figures but are completely otherworldly in nature. Human fairy, what should I call them? A child born of a fairy and a human. They are considered not even second class citizens. They are considered third class citizens below humans because
Oh,
they
because see,
are,
they don't cover that in this book.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they are considered an abomination, like literally an unnatural abomination that belongs to neither world and hence must be persecuted and, well, destroyed, essentially.
Wow, foreshadowing for the other books. Because
Yeah.
they didn't talk about that in this first book. They just said that the fairies, they don't even have to get married. They just, mate to mate because you have to procreate and they have a harder time of it. And obviously too, the kids take longer to grow up to mature. So I was kind of wondering because I was like, oh gosh, please don't let her get knocked out by this guy. But then they didn't talk about that, humans and fairies being compatible. And then again, I'm gonna do this spoiler. I mean, if you're this far, you're gonna get spoilers, but she gets turned into a high fae anyway in the end. So if they're gonna end up having babies, I guess she and Tamlin or whoever she ends up with, we don't know yet, they'd be like compatible, you know? So very good to know.
All right. So until now, we have understood that Feyre is living with Tamlin and it's been a couple of months and yeah, she gets into trouble, this, that, and their romance is budding. Slowly they're falling in love. And the next major event that happens is a fertility ceremony or a fertility ritual. Now we have to understand that Tamlin, being the High Lord of the Spring Court, he's essentially the god of spring. He is essentially the one who, through this ceremony, these festivities, he's kind of going to ensure that the rest of Prithian stays fertile for agriculture, um, for any kind of flora, fauna, Prithian soil. I mean, it's literally a rejuvenation of the world. And this particular ceremony is the one, it's kind of like their new year. It kickstarts like certain natural events happening, like flowers blooming and trees growing. So now, as the god of spring, this particular ceremony, it's called the Kalimnai. Now, this ceremony is basically, it's a rave. It's an absolute rager of a party. It is fueled by fairy wine and really, really peak fairy hormones. Because we have to understand that a fertility ceremony is going to involve mating. And who is the god of spring? Tamlin. And how is he going to bring about fertility to the land of Prithian? By meeting with a, let's say, a chosen partner who would aid him in ensuring that the land of Prithian is fertile. Now, this rager of a party, I mean, come on, there are fays of all sorts, and there are fairies across the entirety of Prithian who are coming to the spring court to attend this rager party. So we have to understand that now the spring court is even more vulnerable because there are people coming from the winter court, there are people coming from the night court, there are people coming from summer, autumn. People are coming from everywhere. And also considering that this is like a tense time in the world of Prithian, it's not a good mix to have so many different kind of fairies and to have a human in the picture, which is Feyre. Feyre is told unequivocally not to go outside while the ceremony is happening. She is told it is potentially horribly dangerous for humans because Fae hate humans. They want humans to be enslaved. This is like the popular stereotypical view. However, our dear Feyre, unable to follow a single goddamn instruction or direction, she sneaks into the party and gets immediately accosted by evil fairies. I mean, come on, I'm not even going to call her a woman. This girl, she's just waiting to fall and trip into a well of trouble. And this is where we see Feyre's teen rebellion defiance era. Like, she couldn't have a teen rebellion era with her family because hard times, you can't act out during hard times. And nobody will like give you attention if you act out. So now she has all the freedom to defy all the instructions which would keep her basically alive. So she gets accosted by evil fairies. They are like, oh, human, yummy, yummy. We are just gonna like torture you and disintegrate you and eat you. So now Feyre needs to be rescued because she cannot follow simple rules. Note, listeners, it is at this point of time that a tall, dark, handsome, mysterious man in black and covered in silvery starlight comes and saves her from these evil fairies. And he gives her a wink and he vanishes. So, important introduction over here, possibly of a new character. And he's hot as well, just a little different. Dark mafioso, covered in black. Like, you can't make out what he's thinking, but he's just like so smooth. You don't know where he's going with his words. Okay. So he comes, he saves her. He's like all charm and what do you say? Masculine, masculine energy and like vibe. And yeah, he just vanishes. So by now, we need to understand that the land of Prithian is suffering through a blight. Now, a blight is typically defined as any kind of disease that affects plants, but it can also be defined as something that spoils another thing. So basically, the land of Prithian is not doing well. And this blight is apparently affecting all the fairies, and it is slowly starting to affect the human world as well. Because again, this mating ceremony is required because the world is just not fertile enough to have crops, have healthy animals to hunt. Yeah, so now this blight is basically causing a ruckus for the entirety of Prithian. And there is literally an air of evil in Prithian. And this amazingly destructive can be attributed to one sadistic, evil, villainous boss babe. And her name is Amarantha. Google Amaranth. It's a particular grain. It's supposed to be very healthy. And who knows, it could be the new quinoa.
This is what got me is like she's making up names and she's stealing from like Celtic and Gaelic. And then I pointed it out to you, I was like, yeah, she was named after Amaranth. Like, I've never heard Amarantha as a name, so very creative. But
yeah,
it was like, but then again, there's names like Alice, which again, Twilight. I'm just saying, This book is Twilight. Amarantha, boss babe, villain queen.
Villainess of the millennium. Let's just say that she is so pure evil. I love that. Like, she has a villain origin story, like all typical villains. They have like something traumatic happened to them and then like they switched from good to evil. But the author does not, like, she gives just the right amount of evil for Amarantha to be malicious without being pitied. That, oh, poor woman, this happened to her. That's why she became a sadistic torturer. No, Amarantha is evil as well. Don't give credit to her trauma.
Well, she was salty about her sister getting in with a
Killed in the
human
war.
and then killed in the war because she was double crossed by the human, and I get it. So she has her reasons to not like humans. I totally get it. And did she have to take it as far as she did? Yeah. But I mean, honestly, if
But also, why not?
who but then the kingdom, the land was being ruled by Tamlin's dad. And this was all during the war when some of them wanted to release humans as slaves, right? And then other fairies didn't want to. And there's still kind of that divide, but she took over power because it's like, obviously, if you as a king, you're not doing your job, if it's that easy for someone to steal the power, then sorry,
Yeah.
dude.
And a little bit of background. If we see this map, I have not pointed out to this area. This is Highburn. So this area, Highburn, it has like an evil king, and he's the one who completely sponsored the campaigning and lobbying of Amarantha. And this is Amarantha's lair. You see these two crosses? Because never go in this area. It's called Under the Mountain.
That's far. I didn't realize how far that was from where the spring court is and where the human. That's like,
Yeah. But if you see, the vulnerable areas to Highburn is most immediately the spring court
yeah.
and the summer court. It'll take time to get to these courts, but these are the ones in proximity, which is why we see Tamlin is the one carrying a huge looming burden. We'll come to that. It's a curse. So, yeah, Amarantha is so exponentially beyond imagination powerful, and she has essentially managed to get an iron grip and enslave all the High Lords. And I'm talking about all the High Lords of the seasonal courts, winter, spring, Tamlin, obviously, the summer court and the autumn court. And she also has enslaved people from the time of day courts, which is night, day, and
Time
dawn.
of day courts. I love that.
I don't know what to call them.
I know.
So
God.
this woman is so powerful, and I love that. I mean, did I want a female tyrant? Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I want to see what kind of evil she can do. Let's see her potential. So anyway, now she has enslaved basically all of Prithian and caused a blight to ensure that Prithian as a land is not doing well. And guess who she has the hots for? Tamlin. She loves a blonde boy. She loves a blonde himbo.
She
A
loves that
simple
silent
dude.
type, that
Oh,
aloof,
she
he's
loves
like, does he
it.
like me? Does he not like me? He's very
Yeah.
stoic.
Also, he is generally considered the hottest of all the High Lords. So imagine being rejected, being Amarantha and being rejected by the High Lord that you have the hots for. I mean, she did not take this rejection well. For this unruly audacity of Tamlin to reject her, Amarantha literally cursed him. And she cursed his whole court, and she reduced most of his powers to an absolute tiny, tiny, tiny amount. Now, we soon learn that the tall, dark, mysterious night starlight man, he is Amarantha's little minion, and he is the High Lord of the Night Court. He is the same dude who saved Feyre with the from the evil fairies at the calumny ceremony, winked and vanished. Now, this guy is Resand. Drum roll. I mean, ovaries are bursting right now. I just mentioned Resand, and I can feel the raging hormones of the girls, gays, and theys who are completely mesmerized. Then
And this is how I pictured. Think like Loki from the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Kind of sassy, that acts like he doesn't like you, dark hair, he's got violet eyes, but lighter eyes. And I'm a sucker for the dark hair and the light eyes. So that's why I was like, oh, this one. I don't like guys being mean just to be mean because they think that's flirting. But a lot of the guys, that's how they are. Let's be mean or aloof. and I'm flirting. But yeah, so like I said, there's a flavor for everyone in these books. And I'm sure as they
Yeah.
go on, I'm sure we get more flavors of types of problematic men.
Now, Amarantha's little Resand, I love calling him that. I don't know why.
He acts tough, and then yeah, he's taken it from Amarantha, but it just goes to show that's what kind of power she wields. Even though, again, like I
Yes.
said, we had to make the bad person, the villain, a woman, which is again a bit misogynist, but at least because of her backstory, we understand, we get it, revenge, and well, her being like wanting Tamlin so badly, and that she's doing all this because of him, I think it's kind of a weak plot point, but I guess if he's, the hot one, and because also he naturally had a lot of magical powers as well. So
Yeah.
I think she also understood, and also his position in his court. I mean, he was going to inherit the throne from his father. So it's not
Yes.
just from a physical point of view, it's a power standpoint as well. They would have made a
Yeah.
good match politically. So I do understand that. And I like that about her strategery.
I mean, she's a celebrity. She's a literal celebrity in Prithian. She's not going to get into anything which is non-transactional. Let's say that. It has to benefit her. Any kind of alliance, matrimonial or otherwise, Amarantha rules with the meanest hand possible. And I love that about her. Because Tamlin is like the Helen of Troy, for whom a war is being waged by Amarantha. And I love this gender reversal
I didn't
dynamic.
even think about that. I love that. You're right. I didn't consider that. That's a very good analogy. Yes.
Yeah, I want to see a woman go nuts for a guy and wage a war.
Only if he's worth it, though. Like, I don't know. This one, I don't know. Like I said, he's got his issues too. So,
True, he's got his issues, but he is technically the hottest and the most powerful High Lord. Also, the Spring Court is one of the most important courts because, again, it is the one that causes the land to become fertile enough for people to be able to live off the land. I mean, these are immortal creatures, but they need to eat and they still have to pay taxes. I mean, I feel so bad for them. Imagine being immortal and you're not one of the royal, like High Lord, High Lady families and if you're not in the ruling class, you just keep living every day, working every day, paying tithes and taxes constantly forever. My God, that sounds like an eternal nightmare to me.
yeah.
And to still have the bullshittery of the human world and have it in, the content of the bullshit is the same, like patriarchy and blah 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 blah. And it's like now set in this magical world as well. So yeah, I mean, I feel bad for immortal people sometimes, especially if you have to live this kind of a life. At least in Twilight, they didn't have to do anything besides drink blood. Anything, literally anything.
Yeah.
The people of Prithian are having bad times right now. Like
Well,
bad,
especially
bad.
if you're of one of the royal courts, I think you have it the worst because your life is potentially never ending, and you have all this political stuff, and you have to stay true to your kingdom, your house, but also go to peace talks with the other ones and it's just there's no
So much work.
sweet release. That's why I don't think being immortal is all that it's cracked up to be, honestly. So,
Mm.
but that's another debate.
So after the entire ceremony and the whole thing, Rhysand coming and saving her and all of that, Amarantha sends her little. Okay, I'm gonna stop saying that. Amarantha sends Rhysand to Tamlin's house to threaten him. Now, Amarantha kind of is like, she's pissed at Tamlin, obviously for the rejection. Woman is really, really salty right now. So she keeps doing these irritating things to kind of warn Tamlin or to sort of threaten him. For instance, she sends Rhysand to Tamlin's house to basically threaten him and tell him that, we'll destroy your court and this and that. and there's a curse on you and it'll never like get lifted. And basically Rhysand, while he's threatening Tamlin, he's like taking some jabs at Tamlin, because Tamlin is not necessarily the fastest, not the fastest. Tamlin, like, it takes a while for things to register to him. He's a simple guy. I mean, yeah, he's not into like word salad and word trickery, which is the forte of Rhysand. So, this mysterious Rhysand, he finds out that Feyre, the human who he saved, is living with Tamlin. And for the first time in forever, Feyre uses the one brain cell that she has and she gives Rhysand a different name. She does not tell him her real name. And she gives the name Claire. She says that I'm Claire, and Claire is actually her neighbor in the mortal realm. So I think Feyre can sense that, there's a lot of tension going on between these different courts for some reason. She doesn't know the reason fully right now, because she doesn't know there's an Amarantha, there's a curse, there is a this, there's a that. So, but she could like sense something is off, and thank God something clicked in her brain and she was like, let me not give my full government name to him. And also let us note over here that Rhysand has mind messing abilities. And these are referred to as Demati powers. Basically, he can enter your brain, he can push thoughts, he can convince you, he can read your mind. He is the typical manipulator on steroids, basically. So, yeah, Rhysand gets a name from Feyre, that is Claire. And again, he winks at her and vanishes. I mean, Rhysand makes such dramatic entries and such dramatic exits. Boy is so dramatic. Oh my God.
He also reminds me of Loki, of Tom Hiddleston's character of Loki from
Yeah.
Avengers, where he's like cheeky and saucy like that, but I mean, he's got his own issues, but deep down, he may have a heart. He may have other motives that we obviously don't know yet, especially at this point in the story.
Exactly. So now, finally, we are coming to the greatest part of the book. And this greatest part of the book has the least amount of Tamlin stuff and the most amount of suffering for Feyre. We are now coming slowly to the beautiful torture scenes that the author SJM specializes in. Like, this woman can write a lovely torture scene. I mean, and the trauma attached with any kind of torture that happens. Like, she really, how do I say, she's almost investigative of the emotions that someone would go through at a human level while actually handling inhuman activities, like handling activities which are just not within a human's mental framework. So now the fun ride starts from here. Now, Amarantha, I mean, I'm sure in some lifetime she must have been a lawyer, because she has such specific terms and conditions regarding the curse placed upon Tamlin and how he can lift the curse. Now, the terms, conditions, representations, warranties, rights, and obligations of this curse are as follows. Number 1, you need to find a human girl. Number 2, human girl should be a Fey killer. FYI, Feyre killed Tamlin's wolf friend. 3, besides being a Fey killer, she has to fall in love with Tamlin. 4, falling in love is not enough. She has to say it. Otherwise, it doesn't count. Otherwise, the curse doesn't lift. Now, Tamlin has known this all along. I mean, as much shit as we can give him, I give him grace for the fact that in order to find a human Fey killing girl, he had to constantly send his friends, his generals, his commanders, his close advisors, literally people who he considered brothers. He had to constantly send them across the border in order to be killed by a human girl who will be a Fey killer. Like, I can imagine how much it would have like torn away at him and how much it would have broken him to send friend after friend after friend only to be killed. And imagine, none of the courts are suffering this kind of atrocity. I mean, yeah, their powers are down, the High Lords are trapped under the mountain, but nobody's like land and people are being affected in such a cruel manner. And I can understand how much anxiety and literal depression you would have as a leader to keep killing your brethren. It's really heart wrenching, and I feel really bad for Tamlin. So anyway, but Tamlin is a good boy. I mean, all along he was like, executing this plan of finding a Fey girl and fulfilling the terms and conditions of lifting the curse. But deep down, he is a simple guy. I feel bad for him. He is a simple guy. And he has, like, actually fallen in love with Feyre. I think his feelings are authentic. I think they are authentic.
Okay. All right. Well,
But
yeah.
yeah,
I'll save my opinion till the end.
yes, yes. So what he does is he decides that he can't use Feyre in this sort of a manner because it's just not right. He thinks like I think he's innately a good person and he doesn't think it's right to sacrifice even a human in order to like free the land of Prithian. Like he doesn't think that Feyre should be a sacrificial lamb. And in that way, I think he has regard for human life. So he basically tells Feyre, listen, Feyre, I know I was like going to keep you here forever, but you can go home now.
Like all of a
You
sudden,
can go home.
we're starting to get hot and heavy, and I'm like biting and kissing and licking on your neck, and I don't remember it during that. What is it? That festival,
The
that fire
Calvinite
Ostara
ceremony.
coming on strong, leading her on, and then like, peace. Like it's because I'm worried about your safety. Men. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he basically he's like, pack up your things, you're going back. And yeah, I was just making shit up along the way. It's not like, if you kill a fae, you break the human fairy treaty, and because of that, you either need to be killed or you need to be entrapped. He's like, bye, bye. And yeah, Feyre goes back to her family, and lo and behold, Tamlin has restored the family to its glory of wealth and affluence. They have a huge estate. Their memories have been erased. Like literally, her entire family's memories have been erased about the destitution and poverty that they were facing, and also about the fact that Feyre was literally abducted by a beast. Her family thinks that Feyre is helping out an old aunt somewhere in some far, far away land. But guess whose mind cannot be messed with? Nesta, the eldest daughter. And oh my God, I love Nesta so much because of this. Because literally everyone, like her dad and Elaine, they are completely living a different story in their mind which never existed. And they are thinking everything is happy and normal and everything is hunky dory. But it is Nesta who pulls Feyre aside and says, I remember everything. And now we need to understand here that the Fae have literal god level powers over humans. Tamlin literally made them rich overnight and replaced their bad memories with happy memories. But dear, dear, amazing Nesta is like, you can't tell me how to think. No magic can mess with my brain. She is literally so innately stubborn that she defied the magic of a literal god figure just by using her pure outraged audacity. And this is why I love, love, love Nesta. She is like, I have an iron will and nobody can tell me otherwise. I mean, tell me, is this not total eldest daughter energy? I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, she's a tough cookie, but then we realize that she may have a softer interior than her exterior later on for
Yes.
reasons.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is the time because Nesta and Farah are like having this shared secret of knowing actually what happened. They kind of start to bond. And it's nice to see that you know what money can buy happiness if you have enough of it. Yeah. Once you have enough of it, it can definitely buy you happiness. So a couple of days later, Farah is back at her super rich, affluent estate household, and her dad is fine and everything is great. But a couple of days later, they hear that the actual neighbor, Claire, her house has mysteriously burnt down and there were no bodies found at all. Mysteriously, Claire's house was just burnt down. We have no idea what happened to her, her family, whatever. But again, Feyre's one brain cell clicks and she suddenly feels this bout of guilt because she realizes that maybe there is some connection between Claire's disappearance and her maybe potentially giving an enemy the name of her neighbor. Now, in this bout of guilt, Feyre decides that no, I have to go back to the spring court. Something is wrong. Things don't seem to be adding up. And yeah, so she goes back to the spring court, crosses that treacherous border, and she goes to the spring court, and it's absolutely empty and desolate. There's only one maid, Alice, present at the castle of the spring court. Yeah. So this one maid, Alice, she basically narrates the terms and conditions of the curse that has been placed upon Tamlin. Also, one of the terms and conditions was that Tamlin can't tell this story to the human girl who will kill a fae and who will fall in love with him and who will have to tell him I love you. So he's kept under this, what do you
Yeah.
say?
But it has to be a human who hates fairies.
Yeah, who
To
hates
fall
fairies and
also, who hates fairies, who kills one of his own. Yeah.
and the maid is Alice is like, Feyre, because you did not say I love you back to him, now he's trapped in Amarantha's dark lair called Under the Mountain. So, what is Feyre going to do now? The most reckless thing possible. Even though she's just a human, she has no skills absolutely in knowing how to kill a fae, but she treks up to Under the Mountain. And Alice tells her specifically never tell your name to a fae and never drink fairy wine. Fairy wine is literally hard drugs for humans. So do not do those two things. But what does Feyre do? She immediately tells her full government name to Amarantha, and Amarantha gives her a riddle. So she basically comes, confronts Amarantha that, you know what, free Tamlin, what is this blight you have caused? Blah, 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 blah. And Amarantha's like, okay, I will free Tamlin. I will free the land of Prithian. Just solve this riddle. And come on, Feyre has never read a book in her life. She's like, what is a riddle? And guess, guys, what is the answer of the riddle? I'll give you a minute. Pause.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny when
Love,
when Amarantha was saying the
that
riddle, I
is
was like,
the
it's gonna be
answer.
something dumb like time, or the answer. Of course. The answer is love. Blah. Gag
Yeah, the
me.
answer of the riddle is love. Oh my god. So anyway, Amarantha's like, you solve this riddle and everything becomes fine immediately. Or you need to go through 3 difficult tasks. Number 1, kill a gigantic worm. Number 2, basically read something or Lucian will be killed. And the third task is that she will have to kill 2 fays in front of everyone, and she will have to actually kill the innocent phase in order to complete this task successfully. Now, she's basically, I mean, what will Feyre do in a
Well, she
situation
has to
like
kill
this?
3 fae. They have
Oh,
bags over their heads. And then she's having a real hard time because the first one's begging for his life. The second one, she's like, just do it. I understand that you have, they understand that they're giving up their lives, because if she can complete this last task and murder these fae in front of everyone, that maybe they can win against Amarantha and win their lands back. So ultimately, these fae are giving their lives so that the rest of the courts can have Prithian back and not be under Amarantha's rule, right? I think.
yeah.
Am I?
So Feyre basically completes all the tasks. She kills the gigantic worm. She can't read, so she's going to lose the second task, which is reading something and pulling a lever. And basically, like, Lucian is about to die if she doesn't pull the right lever by reading the instructions. But Rhysand gives her, he has these like mind messing abilities, so he gives her the answer
Well,
because
also
he
because
realizes,
he tattooed her, remember, because she's his
yeah,
for
he,
1 week, because he helps her out or heals her or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
considering she's a mortal, she is going to need help. Now, Lucian helps her in very obvious ways, and he keeps getting tortured and beaten up by Amarantha's minions for helping Feyre in such an obvious way. But our double agent, Resand, he helps her in more, under the table ways and like sly ways, which can like pass the radar of, which can fly under the radar of Amarantha's entire kingdom. Basically, what Resand does is he's like, Feyre, I will help you out, but, we are going to enter into a bargain. Another thing Alice had told her, don't give your full government name, don't drink fairy wine. And 3, do not make bargains with fairies. They are tricksters. Do not absolutely make any bargain with them. And look at the bargain that Resand makes in order to like help her along. He's like basically like brings about a tattoo into her hand, like magic tattoo, whatever. And she's like kind of connected to him in some mind way. And so basically he's able to kind of like communicate with her through that tattoo. And one of the other conditions of the bargain is that for 1 week, every month or so, you'll have to come and live with me. Again, I'm like, bros, stop telling Feyre to just come and live with you and do nothing.
Well, it was longer originally. It was like 2 weeks a month or more, and she bargained down. And I'm like, oh, this is also stealing that whole trope kind of Persephone and Hades, where it's so many times of the, and because he's in the night court, because that's also a big trope with like the fantasy and romantasy is the Persephone and Hades dynamic, their story.
Yes, I think there is like a big Persephone and Resand, like he wants his reputation to be like a Hades, like this god which is all powerful but kind of like not in everyone's face, but also sly, but also getting results, but also manipulative. He's just too much. Yeah, so he does this bargain with her. Feyre completes all the tasks. Oh, she figures out the riddle as well by the end of the story. She's like, it's love. And the last task where she has to kill the 3 Fae, there is also a condition that you have to stab a heart of stone. And guess who has the heart of stone? Tamlin. Tamlin has the heart of stone that she needed to stab through her love. She needed to get through to his heart of stone by the magic of love and the powerful force that love is. So, yay, everything is hunky dory. Amarantha is killed by Tamlin because Tamlin's powers have been unleashed now and the curse has been lifted. His powers have been unleashed to their full potential and he just decapitates Amarantha. All the High Lords are happy, but before dying, Amarantha snaps the neck of Feyre. So Feyre is dead and Resand, through that bond, he can like feel her death and all of that. And what he says he does, and I will say this because I am very skeptical of these wordsmithery dudes like Resand. So according to him, he entered into the mind of every High Lord and convinced them to give a drop of their power to reawaken Feyre as a Fae. That's what is the apparent story, that he helped out Feyre, that he basically ensured that she doesn't die and she's able to be reborn as a Fae. And he does this like apparently by like through his Demati mind messing powers, he enters the brain of every High Lord and he convinces them to bring back Feyre because she's their savior. She being
she won back their lands for them. Yeah. I mean, so they are happy about it,
Yeah,
but I will say one other thing with the connection, and she's dead and then she's still narrating the story. And I'm like, what? Like,
how is that
at least,
happening?
okay, maybe because the version I read, they don't read everything because they're acting it out. So if like, it's like, oh, she sighed, they're not going to say that. They do it in this dramatic version. It was very confusing at first. I'm like, how is she narrating? She's supposed to be dead. Oh my God, this is stupid. But then after the fact, she explains, oh, well, part of my soul was still with
Lingering.
Resand. So that's, I could see through his eyes. I'm like, Like,
Girl.
I wish that would like explain before. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's all. That was my only gripe
It
about
felt
that.
like a cop out. It was like you have to make an exception because the chosen one can't die in the first book.
Yeah.
The chosen one just can't die. And come on, we have been introduced to the mafioso shadow boss, Resand. Where is his plotline gonna go? So
Because he's
yeah,
obviously interested. He's obviously interested in
his finger is in too many pies, like way too many pies. And I don't know, it's shady. It's really shady, according to me. You can't be everything for everyone and be everything for yourself as well. There's something really grating about Resand. I don't know what it is about him. So yeah, this is the great plotline of the story. I hope everyone enjoyed because this was a humongous summary.
Well, but you left out, like, again, we're questioning Resand because we don't know why all of a sudden, like, he's also obsessed with her. Like, why does he want her for, when he made the deal with
Yeah.
her to give her healing after the first trial, and she worked it out instead of being with him for 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, a month, a
Yeah, like
year,
why
couple
is
months a
he
year.
into her?
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't know, and so I think that's supposed to, like, intrigue us to keep going, but then he
yeah.
leaves, like, after she wakes up again and she's a high fae, or she wakes up just like Bella when Bella got killed. You have to turn her into a high fae, vampire, so she'll survive. Before Rhysand leaves, he's saying goodbye to her, he's like,
He's having a
she's
moment
out
with her.
he's having a moment with her, and while he's disappearing, then he gets this look on his face, like it's not fear, but it's not, what did she say, it's like he was surprised by something with Feyre now as a high fae,
Can you
and
go
he
to the
has this
second book?
expression on
Oh,
his face as
yes.
he's fading away, and we're like, well, shit, like,
Second book. Second book. I'm
I
telling you.
know
What
I
is that
know
expression on his face? Oh, it is something. It is something. And it is really expanded upon in the second book. So
I
I urge
bet, yeah.
everyone. Please, please.
I'm
I
going
urge
to.
everyone
I'm
to read it.
curious. And I hope that there's a dramatic full
There
cast
is.
version of the
There
audiobook.
is.
And this one, I'm so glad you recommended this dramatic version with, like, I guess you could call it an ASMR version too, because they do the breathing and you can hear the water and this, and there's a lot of sound effects. So that's cool.
Yeah.
The one thing though that I was just laughing so hard. I was cackling in my car, and then also, like, I have my earbuds in and I'm listening while I'm doing chores and stuff. I get home from work. When there's only a few spicy
Yeah.
scenes, and the narrators are like moaning and groaning, and they're making like the kissing sounds, and you know that the two people that are like acting out the book aren't kissing. It is so cringy. Oh my god, like I laughed so hard, and it's just like, okay, you can stop now, you can stop. Like, I didn't need that. I didn't need, they could explain, like, oh, and he this, and like, probably how the book is she's telling what's happening, she's giving a play by play, but in this version, in this audiobook, they are acting out the scenes, and it's like it's so bad.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so worth it. You guys have, even if you've already read this book, you have to listen to that version. I found it on my library. I belong to my local library, and so I have the Libby app, and you can check out
It's on
the Kindle
Audible.
versions of books. Yeah, my library virtually has like I said, parts 1 and 2, 6 hours each of the audiobook. So I was able to get them very quickly and listen back to back. And I hope that they have the next one like this. And this one, by the way, so our book was written in 2015. This full cast version was done in 2022 because
Okay.
I feel like, and I know you're talking before how this really started the romantasy, this really kicked it off. I think also what did it too was the whole rise of book talk with TikTok during,
Yes.
2020 and 2021. And so it got so popular that I'm sure they're like, okay, well, let's cash in on this even more and make this dramatic version, which is totally cool. I wish more audiobooks would do this, especially ones that have lots of characters.
Yeah.
But
Oh my god, you have to listen to the Carmilla dramatized audiobook.
I know I need to find it because I have the Carmilla on my downloaded audiobook on my Spotify, but I can't find I guess I need to go through my library app and see if they have full, dramatized version. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's so cringe. You have to listen. Y'all have to. I'm so glad that I listened to it.
You're gonna
It
get
made it
all
so much
sound
more
effects.
entertaining,
All sound
except
effects.
I'm very picky about narrators. And of course, like I was not a fan of the woman who narrated as Feyre because and so I might have actually like DNF'd it if I didn't have to read it, just because I didn't in the beginning. If I don't like someone's voice and it's just not, I don't think it fits. I'm like, ugh. But it's the listening to it is so comical that her like young girl voice worked. Because at first I was like, oh, this is really cringy. Like I knew she was gonna hook up with someone, right? That was an old fairy. And so her voice it's this actress like putting on this voice that's even younger. So not only do we have this girl that's like 19 or barely 19, and she says it, she keeps calling herself a girl. And the actress has like this young girlish young teen voice. So that's what also was making me cringe, because like during the spicy scenes, it was like this man and this young teenager sound. So that was very like, oh God, oh God, oh God. Like, so I
What's
feel like that
happening?
just the choice in casting a little bit was like, we could have at least made her sound like a little more mature if we're going to go there. And so
Hmm.
I was wondering if if Sarah J. Maas, like approved, she must have, right? I mean, I don't
She
know if
must have.
if authors approve the narrators.
She would have had some role definitely, because as big as a franchise like this book, I think authors do keep like a tab on how material out of the book comes, because Stephanie Meyer had like a microscope over all the
Uh-huh.
Twilight books. She's like,
Uh-huh.
the mythology.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think Sarah J. Maas is as controlling about what happens with her material as like she's as controlling as possible. And I think she should be as well, because we were like, you had sent me a meme which said that this A Court of Thorns and Roses series, which was going to be adapted into a TV show by Hulu, it has been cancelled. And the
Uh-huh.
rumors are that the author did not appreciate the creative direction that was being taken by Hulu. And she was not happy with the kind of production ideas that they had, because this book is very difficult to also adapt. There's so much powers. How do you show
Uh-huh.
powers which are not physical? Like Resand is doing his mind to mind, tattoo to tattoo thing with Feyre all the time. Like, how do you translate it into the screen? I think for a series like this, it can either tank really badly, or it can gain the cult classic stature of a Twilight or a Hunger Games, so, or a Game of Thrones. So I think that SJM is like very particular, because this is blown exponentially popular, and why not milk the cow? And people are so obsessed with this series that
Yeah, seriously.
SJM just put one post with a notebook which said Akatar 8. And people went mad. They're like, oh my God, the new book in the series is going to come out. What's happening? Like the buzz that's created. And I love that for the book publishing industry. I mean, how
Mhm.
often do we
I love
get
that.
this resurgence of reading being cool and reading being cool enough to be accessible and entertaining for people, but also for scholars like us to be able to go deep into the subject matters. So I think this book has like flavors for basically
Oh,
everyone.
wow. So yeah, there's 5 books. I guess she was teasing book 6. She
Yes,
completed the
book
first
6.
draft in July 25, with speculation pointing towards a late 2026 or early 27 release. Yeah, probably for holiday gift time, she'll probably have it done within
Yeah,
a little less than a year from now. Yeah,
exactly.
interesting.
No, that one post by her, people went mental on Bookstagram.
My gosh, that's funny. I hadn't seen that. I didn't know, because I mean, I guess, well, you handle the Instagram account more so, and I do follow some book people on my personal account. But what's funny is you're saying too, like it's become it's in part of our pop culture vocabulary now, like spicy books and smut and fairy corn, that people now expect that women between the ages of, say, like 18 to 45 or 50 are all reading this. So way back when we announced we were having a podcast and I told people what we were doing, especially men and male followers, were like, you guys are just going to read like smut and fairy and stuff like that. And which is funny because then we ended up accidentally with our first book we went into blind. We accidentally did end up reading really smutty, spicy. And then so that kind of perpetuated that. And then I had to tell people, no. We're not just reading these kinds of books. Like we're interested in other things. And that's why, we've until now have gone in every other direction with the themes that we picked to show that there's this stereotype with, like I said, between like 18 and 50 that we're all reading this, we're all into it. And there's nothing wrong if you are, but we're not all reading that. We're not all like wanting this. I don't want to be beat up and told that I have to come see you for 1 week a month. And so any guys listening, we're not all fantasizing about it. It's fun. It's fun to read. You got some messiness, you've got the drama. It's interesting to see like the different love triangles and love rhombuses and every other geometric shape. But like not all women are into this as well. Not all women are into, like, again, being taken advantage of without their consent, et cetera, et cetera. So again, I'll get off that soapbox. But not to say I didn't not enjoy it. I did enjoy it a lot. It was a lot of fun. It made me laugh. And I've told you, and my friend Wendy, who's been trying to get me to read this forever, I gave her a sneak peek a couple weeks ago when I told her what we were reading.
I love Wendy. Wendy has really good taste.
And I messaged you right after I finished it, and I messaged her, and I said to both of you, I said, if I had a physical copy of this book, I would have thrown it across the room as soon as, Feyre wakes up and, not only is she alive, she's a high fae.
This poor book has been thrown across the entire room.
It's like, but it's so ridiculous. But then how the author leaves it, and that cliffhanger with Rhysand and what did he see in her? And oh my gosh, does she like him? She's not sure. So that does leave it where, you want to know what's happening. So I will give it to the author. And I think she's a very good writer. I think she's a great world builder. She's a bit too descriptive sometimes. I think I told you too, where I was like, if I read the phrase watery bowels one more time, because, Feyre was like, I was so scared. My bowels went watery. I swear to you that it's in the book at least 4 or 5 times. I Googled it. I Googled how many times is the phrase. Now, on Reddit, there's a subreddit, ACOTAR, and someone did have a post about this. They put a post. It's called Watery Bowels. I've only read the first book, but if I have to read the word watery bowels in the next 4 books, I'm going to lose my shit, pun intended. Like, girl, do you need a diaper? Do you have IBS or something? And I'm like, that's exactly what I was saying to myself. And then the top comment is, it's way worse in the Throne of Glass series. Homegirl vomits and has water bowels every page.
Oh, yes. SJM's other famous series is the Throne of Glass series. And you know what? In the next year, let's pick one of her other series.
So then I was going to ask, because I'd heard of it and I forgot it was her. So is that a continuation? Is it a spinoff of this world, or is it a different world?
No, it's a completely different world. But it's a marvelized world. Like, you get it? There are Easter eggs across.
But Feyre's not the main character.
No. Feyre is not involved at all.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, there are elements of the fantasy world which have some history and background, but all standalone stories. Like, Throne of Glass is actually considered the least romantic and the most high fantasy book series that SJM has written. Like, A Court of Thorns and Roses is more to appeal to masses of all sorts, while Throne of Glass is where, because I think she doesn't write romance well. I don't think she gets I think the romantic elements are not dealt with nicely, and I don't think that is her forte. She writes lovely, curse scenes. She writes amazingly descriptive torture scenes.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised at how gory and descriptive it was. I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so romance is not her thing, and that's why people who are really into like the romantasy genre, they really love Throne of Glass. And I think we should, like, after a couple of months, read Throne of Glass, and maybe we'll be able to compare how this series starts off versus how that series starts off. And if SJM has been able to equalize the issues or resolve the problematic things which are in Akatar, and she kind of resolves them in Throne of Glass. I mean, we never know. Like, it could actually be like way better than Akatar, or maybe that's just populist opinion and we will be the contrarians.
Yeah, I would totally read it. I mean, I'm interested in, like you said, if it was, if you like it, I trust your judgment, obviously. And I'm gonna read anything that we're gonna decide to read, because you've, like I said, you've read stuff that you were like when we had to read the God,
We have to push each other off the ledge. That's it.
the gold, the what is it, the Gilded
Buccaneers.
Age book.
The
That was a
Buccaneers.
lot. God, the Buccaneers. So you've been a trooper.
The Buccaneers has made us English professors. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That was the juncture which, like, I think after that, I have not been able to not look deeply into the issues of even the most frothy books that we read. Like the silliest books that we read, somehow I'm able to like read between the text, go into the context, and like understand what is the larger picture, like what is the macrocosm of the subject matters that the author wants to give us, but is giving us through a plot line and a narration and characters.
We have mapped out the next few months. So then in the new year of our themes and some of our books. Very excited. I don't know if we want to tease January. I mean, we haven't chosen a book, but we've chosen a theme and an author for that. I'm really excited, stuff we have going on. And what else? I mean, I think that's about it on my end. So reading some good books, listening to some good books.
So now, Katie, what do you think we have learned from this book, this gigantic enterprise known as the Akatar series?
I think that if your love interests have more red flags than character development, then maybe listen to your therapist and not your loins.
Definitely. I mean, petition to have therapists in Prithian. It's a hectic place to be in.
Yeah. They, especially the men, man, all these issues, these daddy issues. Oh my gosh. No wonder why they can't find mates, to procreate with. Or that, the high Fey women aren't good enough for them. It's just like modern dating, There's
And
nobody's good enough for them.
yeah, and Feyre honestly like needs to chill a little bit. She literally needs to eat nutritious meals so her brain is
Mhm.
not wired all the time. She needs to take regular naps because she's a child, and hopefully stay away from immortal beings as much as possible. Even though it looks like they want to do everything in the world for you, no person, no man who is 100, 200,000 year old is going to fall in love with a 19-year-old girl for her personality. Please.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
there's any, especially young women watching this, they're
Yes.
like, "Oh, but you're so mature for your age."
Oh
No,
yeah, sure.
that's
And
big,
we have
huge
already
red
discussed
flag.
this. Yeah, the maturity is like just a self-serving thing that is blabbered to us. There's no
Yeah.
maturity. I mean, maturity depends on like a lot of first life experiences to biological development. So, is one more mature than the other? I don't know. Then, no, that's just wrong messaging.
Well, yeah. I
So,
mean, you don't get taken advantage of by an older guy. That's
exactly.
what we're saying. Because we're
Yeah.
never going to stop dragging Tamlin for that. But we're also drag Rhysand for his stuff. None of the guys in here are perfect. I mean, like I said, I'll continue on with the series, but I'm not going to trust any one of them.
Yep. Good idea, actually. Nobody is trustworthy in this. And if you are
Exactly.
trustworthy, you're just going to be the tragic hero like Tamlin. You need
Yep.
to play games in this highly stressful, intrigue filled, politically inclined mess that this is. You know, I think this is what happens when you have eternal life. You just keep creating unnecessary conflict so that your life has some meaning. So your life has some trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in Twilight, this is the problem that Rosalie has with having an eternal immortal life, that things will never change ever. So, how do you decide the trajectory of your life when it's not defined by a beginning and an end?
Yeah. That was deep. That was deep, man.
So immortals
Yeah.
be crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So you will all have to stay tuned and see what book we are reading and picking apart and analyzing for next month. It's going to be good, obviously. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube. Please follow, comment, tell your friends about it. Just, we do this for free for you all. And we don't know who's watching. We got 20 followers now on YouTube. So we're doing pretty well.
We have a little
Instagram.
classroom now.
Yes, exactly. So thank you all for whomever watches, especially the main episodes this far in. You've made our year. Thank you for continuing. We're just going to continue to do this because it's fun. And whether, we have 20 people watching or 2 or 2,000. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Or someday like 20,000, 2 million. I mean,
Yeah.
why
It'll
not?
start paying for itself, huh?
Yeah. So everyone take 3 deep breaths and click on that subscribe button.
Yeah. We need to start getting monetized so we can have enough money to get you that visa so you can come over to the States, or we can,
Yes. And we'll have a live.
We need to raise money. We need to get monetized because, it's not as easy for some people in some countries to get a visa to even go to the EU,
I'm an
right?
Indian. I'll have to pay extra and extra. I don't know what the rules are anymore.
Exactly. And you need to see all of the weird and wild and wonderful things over here in the States that you only see on TV and that we only read about in our books.
I'm going to a Trader
or
Joe's. The first thing
yes,
I do, I'm going to a Trader Joe's. I want to
Trader
see what the hype
Joe's.
is about.
Yeah. That's so funny. It's Trader Joe's of all things. Oh, I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you all for watching. And yeah, we'll just see what we have in store next month.
Yes, be careful of fairies. Do not step inside fairy circles. Just stay away from them, really. Like, your life will be better if there is no immortal
Yes.
creature in it.
And with fairies and with real men, at least straight men, if they're too good looking, most of the time that's a red flag too. So if they're too good looking, they're either a fairy and they're going to ruin your life, or they're just a regular straight man and they're going to ruin your life. So.
Yeah. Good looking and plus smooth talker, that's a recipe for disaster.
Exactly.
And that's also called resand.
Yes. Awesome. Well, we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye. That was awesome.